Welcome back. Okay, so we've got rain happening this morning through Alberta, through Saskatchewan, Manitoba. The general progression of this weather system is going to be up to the northeast, but as that rain continues in Alberta this morning, some totals there will hit up to 70 millimeters before it does end in the early hours today. On the other side of the country, we do have a few showers lingering this morning in our maritime provinces. We've got this front sliding its way right through portions of Labrador and northern Quebec, and bringing with it is some pretty decent rainfall. Now, ahead of that, earlier this morning, there were frost advisories through the central part of Newfoundland. Those have since been lifted. Temperatures are still cool, though. They might not be frost-worthy to create frost, but they're certainly going to take their time rebounding just due to the fact that it is chilly. Some spots were right below freezing, anywhere between -1 to +2. Now, as we head into the afternoon, the sun's going to come up, and obviously that's going to help everything warm up. The northern peninsula does stay rainier through the day today. We'll see that band of rain slowly slide its way right through Newfoundland, and by early tomorrow morning, it will sit just west of the Avalon Peninsula. Lots of sunshine expected in our Maritimes as we go through Saturday, and by the afternoon on Sunday, it should begin to dry out for the rest of Newfoundland, but it is a slow improvement. For Western Canada, speaking of drying out, we've got a couple different things happening. We've got this weather system that is showing its counterclockwise circulation quite beautifully on the radar and satellite map this morning. The center of the weather system kind of right around Moose Jaw this morning, but the back end of it driving that rainfall through Alberta. And part of why this has been so enhanced is that as that airflow backs up into the landforms in Alberta, the Rockies, it's pushed up and it rains right back down. And that's something called upsloping happening. And when that happens, we do see enhanced rainfall totals. Meanwhile, BC's got this weather system that's coming in over from the Aleutians. It's hitting the west coast and driving that cloud cover through the region there. No warnings this morning at all for BC, but it does mean that Vancouver has the chance of showers for the next couple of days. Now, the front associated with this weather system is sliding through Manitoba this morning. That has impacted temperatures. Now, they haven't dropped dramatically, but they have dipped in comparison to yesterday. So 22 today in Brandon. You do rebound real fast. By Sunday, you're up to 29. We'll see a similar progression across Saskatchewan, though temperatures are cooler there today in comparison to communities farther east. So Swift Current, 13. That's it. Regina, 19. A little milder for Estevan and Yorkton, kind of tapping into what Manitoba has. In Alberta, big rebound today. You will see temperatures kind of holding steady for the weekend. And then into BC, it is going to be a seasonal day. But like I said, that chance of showers in Vancouver next couple of days. As the rain moves its way through, it's really going to help improve this air quality. But you'll see continued haze across much of Ontario and Quebec right through the rest of today. Now here's a look at your local forecast. Welcome back. We're starting things off in Western Canada. Two different weather systems are impacting the region. The first one right through the prairies, bringing with it some very heavy rainfall in parts of Alberta. Just outside of Calgary, there are rainfall warnings in effect east along the Trans-Canada and south of the city as well, where by end of morning today, 40 to 70 millimeters of rain will have fallen, and that includes yesterday as well. Now, this weather system is going to slide its way right up towards the northeast into southern Nunavut. As it does, we will see it move through a very smoky area and hopefully improve some of the air quality in northern Saskatchewan. Now, outside of that, BC is set to see a weather system slide down from northern communities right along the coastline, and that will bring a risk of showers right throughout the west coast through today. Now, as this weather system moves its way northward, we're going to see a couple different things happen. You'll see drier conditions within Alberta, a risk of thunderstorms happening in northern Saskatchewan, and the front sliding its way through southern Manitoba, bringing with it a considerable risk of strong thunderstorms later on this afternoon. Meanwhile, the BC coast seeing rainfall move its way through, the heavier rain tracking through the southeast as the day progresses, and really not drying out in BC until we hit Sunday, so a couple days ahead of that unsettled weather. Now, our smoke and haze forecast shows that there's a lot of particulate matter through the prairie provinces. What this won't take into consideration is the amount of rain falling. This just tracks the possible haze that could be there, but we know that there is considerable rain, and And so that really is going to help improve the air quality within northern Saskatchewan through the day today. Where we'll continue to see that haze is eastward through parts of Ontario and Quebec, likely not at the surface, but for sure, even last night, as the sun is setting, it's just brilliantly red, and that's due to the amount of smoke in the higher atmosphere. Now, this morning, I want to take you live to Timmins. This view courtesy of the city of Timmins. This is within the city center itself. There is a dense fog advisory in effect, and you can see that it's not necessarily impacting the visibility within the city itself, but the sky certainly looks pretty gray this morning, and I imagine as you're heading outside of Timmins, you're encountering areas of significantly reduced visibility. Now, temperature-wise, it's very mild to start off the day in many communities. It's going to be a downright hot day in parts of Ontario and Quebec, but despite the fact that the sun is shining, there's just so much moisture in the air that fog is a factor from the south, from Hamilton to St. Catharines, all the way northward towards communities east of Superior, towards that boundary with Quebec. And that fog, unfortunately, will remain in effect until the air temperature warms up, that some of that moisture can dissipate out. It is going to be a humid day, and so humidex values into the low 30s are entirely possible as this hot weather continues due to this big upper ridge in our upper atmosphere. The high pressure at play really stopping any dominant weather systems from moving their way in. Now, on the northern edge of this ridge, that's where we'll start to see some precipitation into early next week. Now, that's happening in Ontario and Quebec. For Atlantic Canada, there's a small front moving its way through, so it does bring some rainfall. We'll talk about where coming up in the next half hour. Also ahead here on the show, Google is back in court, and this time a verdict could threaten how the entire company operates. That story coming right up. Stay with us. Good Friday morning. We've had so many days over the last month into August and the beginning of September where we had a very wet pattern over the eastern half of Canada and a much drier weather setup through the western half. And that has switched. We've now entered into a much wetter period through our prairies, for example, over the last couple of days, and drier weather persisting for Ontario, Quebec, and into Atlantic Canada. Now, south of the border, what's left of Francine continues to circulate throughout much of the U.S., all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And typically what we would see from this is a movement up towards the northeast. Now, that is not going to happen. We've got dominant high pressure at play across much of the eastern half of Canada. And so that is keeping most of that precipitation south and keeping things much drier in Canada. Now, the exception to this will be the small front that's moving through portions of Newfoundland. And that brings that band of rain that you see sweeping its way eastward through Newfoundland as we head into tomorrow morning. Now, this is really slow moving, so areas to the west are going to see the rain first, Northern Peninsula, for example, and by early tomorrow morning, it will sit over the Avalon Peninsula itself. Much sunnier, much drier through our maritime provinces. And then once that passes, it's a pretty quiet weekend ahead. So get ready to enjoy the sunshine. Halifax, it will be a nice warm day, 14 degrees right now, warming up later on today to 24. We'll see a similar warm up across Fredericton, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. Thunder Bay a touch cooler, 21 degrees and 26 in Winnipeg, with rain moving its way through the eastern prairies today. Now, east of that, you see the sunshine that's dominant in Ontario and Quebec. Fog is still a concern. It was yesterday as well, and I think this is just really indicative of how much moisture is in the air. So when it does warm up into the afternoon, even if that fog lingers, it's really contributing to the extended humidex values and how warm it will feel outside. Now, northeast of Superior, all the way toward that boundary with Quebec, we've got a fog advisory as well. And that, again, is setting up for a very similar experience across northern communities today. Now, part of why it is so warm, part of why it's so dry, is that we've got dominant high pressure not only at the surface, but also higher up into the atmosphere. And this map here, this shows the layers of the atmosphere and different pressure levels. What we see is this big upper ridge in our jet stream with an upper low over the prairies driving that active weather there. It really amplifies the ridge eastward. And so this warm weather does continue as we head into the weekend. Coming up here on the show, this next good news story isn't anything but the pits. We'll tell you about it.
It was pretty cool to have DeMar DeRozan here.
Like understatement of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, but the coolest part was at the very end. So you guys are like chit-chatting. He signed the book for you, and then you guys stood up to take a picture.
Oh, I know. He's 6'6", and I am relatively not that.
Yeah, no, that was such a great.
You know what? The book is really good. It gives what I learned from there it was really good to be in his mindset when he first got to Toronto. Like, guys, it's a good book. You should get it. Enjoy the rest of your morning.
Prairies, for Ontario, for Quebec, for New Brunswick. That warm weather really from an upper ridge of high pressure that's dominating over the region. Now, communities across Western Canada, including Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, dealing with a weather system moving through, bringing a lot of rain with it. East of Calgary and south of the city under a rainfall warning where by end of event, which is this morning, 40 to 70 millimeters of rain will fall. Now, Edmonton south towards the international border, east to Regina. This region has not seen a lot of rainfall through the last month or so, really through all of summer. So to get the sheer amount of rainfall within the region, I mean, any amount of moisture is appreciated, but it's just coming in quite quickly. Flooding and ponding a concern there. One thing that the rain will do is help to clean out the lower atmosphere in terms of smoke and haze. Now, persisting today, we still do have those air quality warnings in place across Saskatchewan in particular. As this weather system moves its way northward, it's going to pull out that particulate matter in the air, kind of like pressure washing the lower atmosphere. And so we're likely to see those air quality advisories drop as we head into Saturday evening. Now, for Ontario and Quebec, the dominant high pressure at play means a couple different things. It means sinking air, which means the lack of cloud development. But because we've had moisture advection, that has contributed to dense fog this morning from Hamilton to St. Catharines. Can we actually go outside to our control room? Can we go to our docs cam, if possible, to show the city skyline if it's available? There you go. So you can see that low-hanging cloud over the city skyline this morning. The sun is trying to shine through and warm up the lower atmosphere. And as it does, it will cause that fog to dissipate. But when it dissipates, you're just going to feel it outside. So there will be an extended humidex value in the low 30s today in Toronto. We also have dense fog advisories across northern Ontario. And again, similar setup there is just contributing to how warm it will feel outside. Now here's a look at your local forecast. This morning, where by end of event, we're talking 40 to 70 millimeters of rain. Now, what's remarkable about this is really an area that has not seen a lot of precipitation through the summer. It has been very hot, very dry, and very smoky. Now, the rain that continues to fall today in our prairie provinces is really helping to improve the air quality. And as this weather system shifts its way to the northeast up into southern Nunavut, we will likely see a dramatic improvement in the air quality across Saskatchewan. Now, east of that, through Ontario and Quebec, if you were out last evening, I was driving into the city, the sun itself was brilliantly red, and that is due to the haze and smoke that's coming over from Western Canada. That will persist likely for the next couple of days as we go into the weekend, as there's no rain in sight for the extended forecast. Now, south of us, the remnants of Francine continue to circulate across the U.S. Southwest and along, the U.S. Southeast and along the Gulf of Mexico. And you might be wondering, if you are in Ontario and Quebec, okay, is this coming our way? Generally, we do see that movement northward, but there's dominant high pressure at play over both provinces, and that keeps all of that action south, which means we are set to see a very hot, dry, sunny weekend ahead across much of the eastern half of Canada. Now, in terms of temperatures this morning, it is a very mild start to the day in Winnipeg, for example, 20 degrees, 17 in Thunder Bay, 14 for Toronto, 14 in Montreal, 14 in Fredericton, 10 for St. John's, good morning, and 13 in Vancouver this morning. Now, there are your daytime highs today. We'll get up to 26 in Winnipeg, slightly cooler in Thunder Bay, but a very warm day ahead for Ottawa, for Montreal, and for Fredericton, all getting up into the mid to high 20s. Super sunny already in Ontario and Quebec once that sun comes up. But we do have fog continuing to be a concern from Hamilton down towards St. Catharines. This is just really indicative of how moist the atmosphere is. So into the afternoon, you can anticipate those humidex values once again in the low 30s, in part thanks to this big upper ridge that's just holding steady over Ontario and Quebec. Now, coming up, we'll take you through that extended forecast and when the rain eventually moves in, because it will, that's in the next half hour. For now, here's your local forecast.